What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Last weekend was, of course, Star Wars Celebration, and I wanted to just take a quick second to say thank you so much to everyone that came up and said hello or came to our meetup. It meant the world to me. It was so cool to meet all of you, and I hope I lived up to your expectations as well. Our first question this week comes from Heath Hinton, who asks if I noticed that every shot in the Last Jedi teaser was a rehash of something we saw in The Empire Strikes Back. This is really going to be a response to everyone who is afraid that The Last Jedi is just going to be a repeat of The Empire Strikes Back. I do think that that is a valid concern. That's the biggest criticism facing The Force Awakens, is that it was very, very similar to A New Hope. Based on a teaser, I think it's very premature to go in and say, well, this is obviously going to be the same thing as The Empire Strikes Back. We got to see 2 minutes of footage. We got nothing about plot. It was just showing us cool images. That's all a teaser is supposed to do, is get us excited. There's no plot in there that we can be like, well, obviously, this is going to be exactly the same as The Empire Strikes Back. I think Lucasfilm knows, I think Rian Johnson knows, that they can't do a repeat because that's what they did for The Force Awakens. They played it safe. I understand why they played it safe. We know that they're ready to take risks now with movies like Rogue One. I do not think that The Last Jedi is just going to be The Empire Strikes Back again. Will there be similarities? Of course. They're going to pay homage to what came before, but it's not going to be beat for beat The Empire Strikes Back. I'll be shocked if it is. I'll say that. I can't say definitively that it won't be, but it would be crazy if that turned out to be true. Matthew Lewick wants to know what I think of the upcoming Phasma novel that was announced at Celebration, and if I think the choice in author is intentional because of Bloodline. I'm not sure what you mean by the second part of that question. I'm thinking maybe you're referring to Delilah Dawson's short story tie-in with Bloodline. But if you can clarify that, I will answer it more specifically. As for the novel itself, I'm very excited. Phasma is a character that's in desperate need of some history. We need something that makes her look awesome, and I'm sure that the book is going to do that. For Delilah Dawson, I'm very excited for that author choice. I think she's a fantastic writer. I'm a little bit biased because my most popular video on this channel is based on her short story, The Perfect Weapon, but I also had the privilege to meet her last year at Dragon Con, and she was super, super cool. So I like Delilah a lot, and more than just personally thinking she's really cool and like taking the time to talk to me at Dragon Con. I think she is a very gifted writer. I'm very happy for her, and I think she's going to write something really, really cool. Esteban Ortiz asks if I have any tips on attending Celebration now that I have one under my belt. First and foremost, bring an air mattress if you're planning to wait in line overnight. They say that you're not allowed to, and so we didn't, and then we showed up with like these dinky little chairs, and people had air mattresses and inflatable couches and like full-on bedroom sets. So they're not going to kick you out if you bring an air mattress, and you're going to be way more comfortable if you do. But more importantly, I think if you don't get into those panels, it's not the end of the world. We didn't get into the 40th anniversary panel after waiting all night because the lines were a little mismanaged, and that was very upsetting. People basically cut and we didn't get in. I won't get into all that. We went back to our hotel room and we just watched the stream, and it was okay. We didn't even try to go to the Last Jedi panel because of our experience the night before, and we were still a little salty, so we just streamed it. And it was still okay. And that actually worked out well for me because I could immediately make a video about the trailer. But my point is that the panels weren't like the best part about Celebration for me. I had much more fun meeting people, like fans of mine and people who I'm a fan of. I got to meet so many people, and it's just that energy of being surrounded by like-minded people that are all there because they love Star Wars as much as you do. So that's really what it's all about. You can stream the panels, you can go to them, but no matter what, I think the more special thing about Celebration is just the community. Josh Thompson Productions wants to know how I think Inferno Squad is going to play into the contingency or Operation Cinder after the Battle of Endor. It looks like they will definitely be at the Battle of Jakku. It looks like they're fighting above a desert planet of some sort. I assume it's Jakku, but it also seems like they're going to be spared the fall of the Empire. There's a shots of a bunch of Imperial ships jumping to light speed. I'm guessing that's all of them going to rendezvous in the unknown region. So I think we'll probably get some new story about what Palpatine's contingency was, especially being an elite squad. What did they get to do? What did Palpatine trust them to do? So I think that's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for this story and stepping into the shoes of the Empire, because I'm normally a Rebel fanboy, but these guys look so cool. Mike Bazier wants to know what I want the next Star Wars show to be about, especially now that Star Wars Rebels Season 4 is going to be the last season. I think it was Ken Napzok at the Collider Jedi Council panel at Celebration. He suggested that they do something following Lor San Tekka and Luke Skywalker after the Battle of Endor, and we could see them travel the galaxy to learn more about the Jedi. To me, that's a fantastic idea. Not only would we get some history on the ancient Jedi Order, it would be a very easy way for us to see all kinds of different worlds, because like every episode they could travel to a new planet, or every arc or what have you. They can go to a new planet, experience a new culture, find a Jedi temple or some little piece of the puzzle. There could be a different antagonist at every single one. So it's kind of like how X-Files had Monster of the Week episodes. This could have Planet of the Week or something like that. But I think that would be a really cool way to show a lot of different things while keeping the same central theme about learning about the Jedi Order. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon and I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you some access to extra Star Wars Explained goodies like monthly giveaways or archived streams, and the combined donations really go a long way in helping support the channel. On to YouTube questions. Daily Dose asks that if we are going to see Anakin's Force Ghost in The Last Jedi, as has been rumored, will we see the old version or the young version? I was always kind of against them putting Hayden Christensen in over Sebastian Shaw. I thought that was a strange choice to make, but Dave Filoni says that George Lucas and Lucasfilm, they have a very good reason for doing that. They haven't explained what that reason is yet. They haven't explained how Anakin learned to become a Force Ghost yet, but Dave Filoni assures us that Lucasfilm has those answers. I assume we're going to learn it someday, at some point down the line, maybe in The Last Jedi, but because he said all that, because there's a reason for it, and because they have like a specific plan for it, I do think that it will be Hayden Christensen as the Force Ghost, and they won't like do any digital aging or anything like that. We're going to get Hayden if we see Anakin's Force Ghost at all. The 3D platformer asks if we've ever seen any naval combat in Star Wars. Well, in the Clone Wars, we did get fighting on Kamino and Mon Cala, which was like kind of underwater stuff. I think you're referring more to boats fighting each other. Boats are super rare in Star Wars, and actually in the book Catalyst, a boat is seen and it's like a big deal that something so ancient was still being used. I think it was being used for smuggling in that story. But as far as canon stories go, I can't recall anything where boats are floating in water and firing at each other. Alex Stern asks who my favorite Rebel officer is. I've said this before, but I'm a big fan of stories that show people swapping sides. So Imperials to Rebel, Rebel to Imperial. So I've always been a big Crix Medine fan because he was the first Imperial that I knew of that swapped, that defected over to the Rebellion. So I really like Crix Medine. I really like Kallus. Of course, we're going to have to see how he does within the Rebellion, but it's very possible that Kallus could knock Crix down for me. Vanity Legend wants to know if I think Benicio Del Toro is going to play Thrawn in The Last Jedi. I really doubt it. I still think that Thrawn's story is going to be pretty much relegated to books and Star Wars Rebels. I just don't see him making the jump to live action. It is possible. I just think it's highly unlikely, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up. Alexis L asks if I think we're ever going to get an origin story for the Force or the Jedi. The Force, I don't think so. I don't think it needs an origin story. I think the Force has just always been there in the Star Wars galaxy, and I don't need any further explanation. The Jedi, I think that's more likely. We got one in Legends with the Jedi Order and all that. And I think now we're definitely getting bits and pieces here and there from comics and books and stuff. And like I said, we could do that with Lor San Tekka. Dr. Aphra is kind of doing that. So I think eventually we're going to have a story that we can, as fans, piece together, which would be a lot of fun. But it's also very likely that they're just going to tell it in a very straightforward manner in a book or a comic series or something like that. That's all the time I have for questions today. If you want to ask me something for next week, just put it in the comments of this video or sign up on Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. Also, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be on the Science Faction podcast, talking about Star Wars Celebration, The Last Jedi, Star Wars Rebels, Battlefront II, all that good stuff. It was a lot of fun. That'll be out on Wednesday, and I'll link to them in the description. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.